Hey guys, I'm Bella, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2023 NCAA Women's Volleyball Bracket, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about all the number one teams in the bracket. So, for example, like Wisconsin's bracket, Wisconsin is number one in their bracket, so I'm going to be reviewing Wisconsin and anything that Michelle Chester and Holly Strauss O'Brien has to say in this little video. It's about 5 minutes. Holly Strauss O'Brien, she is the committee chair. She's a committee chair for NCAA volleyball. I think so. I think it'll say in this video. But let's get started. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and check out my TikTok, Bella Bear V, all lowercase. And let's get started.
The 2023 NCAA tournament bracket was unveiled. I'm joined by the NCAA Volleyball Committee Chair, Holly Strauss O'Brien. Holly, what are your overall thoughts on the bracket this year?
It's going to be an exciting tournament, that's for sure. The parity is unbelievable. It's going to lead to a really unpredictable and exciting national championship.
So take us through the top. Obviously, we'll start with the top four seeds. What were the discussions around the top four teams and the order?
Yeah, so Nebraska, as everyone knows, they've held their own.
So Nebraska, let's look what I wrote. Nebraska, their record is 28-1. They only lost to Wisconsin, which is also number one, in another bracket. I'm not sure if they're like named or anything, but Nebraska, Wisconsin, Stanford, and Pittsburgh, they're in 4 separate brackets, and they're number one. So Nebraska is 28-1. They only lost once to Wisconsin. That is really impressive. That is such a good record. And they're also 19-1 in their conference. And Nebraska was 2015 and 2017 NCAA champions. I'm not sure if they were champions any other years. I'd probably have to look that up. But for now, I know that in 2015 and 2017, they were champions, which 2 years, no, it's pretty good. Nebraska, I've seen a couple of their games. They have a super good libero. What's her name? Lexi Rodriguez. I love Lexi Rodriguez so much. She's such a great libero. She can get everywhere on the court, and she's just so awesome. And then there's Harper Murray. She's an outside. She's such a great outside. She jumps so high. She gets over the net. It's like half of her body's over the net almost. And she has a perfect vertical and a perfect spike. She's a great player to have on their team. So let's see what else. Michelle has to say.
At the number one spot all season long. Wisconsin just handed to them their first loss on Friday night, which helped Wisconsin solidify a spot in the top four. Stanford at the 2 spot edged out Wisconsin with overall strength of schedule, winning the last 9 out of 10 games versus Wisconsin's 8. And it's a fun top 4 right there.
So as for the top 16 seeds, Florida makes it in at number 16. That's probably the biggest thing that stands out to me there. Take me through that conversation. Obviously, Florida won a ton of top 10 teams earlier in the season before some injuries. So what were the conversations around them over some teams like Penn State, Georgia Tech?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you got to look at Florida's entire body of work. Yes, they have 2 starters sidelined, but they have one of the toughest strength of schedules in the non-conference. And they've got some really top impactful wins as well. So we did not deviate from our criteria. We stayed consistent with it, and they locked themselves up in that 16th spot. And that was a really tough, heavy conversation that lasted 3 days, but we got there. And at the end of the day, Florida made it.
So obviously last 10 matchups is a secondary criteria. So that was something that you would only go to if you couldn't decide based on the primary, right? So was that kind of what happened with Florida?
Yes, but RPI KPI and strength.
So with Florida, I think Florida won against Penn State, which I am a Penn State fan, and a little bit Pittsburgh too, because Pittsburgh is also in Pennsylvania. I saw that Florida had won against Penn State, and it was a pretty good
Strength of
win.
schedule also, which
It was a pretty good win. Um, I think that their setter played really good. Their defense was really good, and all their hitters were really good. So that game must have been one of their best games throughout the whole season. I heard them say that there had been some injuries to probably put them down to number 16, which isn't too bad, but I'm sure they could have wanted a little bit better. Um, yeah, so if you saw the game too, you would see that I think it was a pretty good win, and that was probably their prime moment in the season. I don't really have a lot to say about Florida, but let's see if there's anything else they have to say.
which are primary criteria. I mean,
Yeah,
they held their own in those categories.
for sure. If you could choose, what were some of the toughest decisions made today?
Yeah, I'd say some of the toughest decisions were definitely that 16 spot, and then also the last four teams into the tournament. Like I said at the beginning of our conversation, the parity this year is off the charts, which is awesome for the sport of volleyball, and definitely made for some great, lengthy, robust discussions in the selection room.
Can you dive a little bit into those robust discussions regarding those bubble teams right on the verge? We had a few conference upsets, so that probably left some teams with high RPIs that had to take some at-large bids away from some others. So what were those robust conversations?
Absolutely, and you nailed it. I mean, they were, they were bid stealers, some of those teams. And it came down to, you have to analyze again their entire body of work, their wins, significant wins, I call it the take care of business win category, where you're beating teams that you should, and then also significant losses. And the teams that made it in, just leads to another reason why this tournament is going to be so great.
How did some of the results over the weekend impact the bracket? So obviously Nebraska, Wisconsin, Tennessee, South Carolina, for instance, and a few others.
They definitely impact the bracket. I mean, we're in the selection room all weekend long. We're watching these matches, and when you start seeding teams and all these different results come in, you have to reevaluate some things.
All right, so looking at the conference breakdowns, the SEC has a tournament leading 8 teams in. The Sun Belt has 4. That's got to be a record. I could be wrong, but just tell me about the conference breakdown and what you guys saw there.
Yeah, it's not so much about like the conference breakdown. It's just about the teams that are really putting in those, great seasons. And I hate to keep using the word parity, but that's really what it is. You've got teams taking care of business, winning day in and day out, and there's lots of upsets. So sometimes it doesn't come down to just what your team has done. It comes down to also what's another team doing and who are they upsetting, and how does that impact your fate in the tournament.
Looking ahead, what are some of the potential matchups in the bracket that the committee will be most looking forward to? We've got some fun ones and a few rematches potentially.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. And I think I'm just gonna say all of them. I think,
okay.
This tournament is going to be really exciting and really unpredictable, and it's truly anyone's. So we're really looking forward to seeing who's crowned the 2023 national champion in Tampa.
Well, Holly, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure it was an exhausting weekend. So
in the video, they didn't really talk about the other top 4 or the other top 3, the number 1 and the 4 brackets. I would like to bring out Wisconsin, because they did talk about how Nebraska had lost against Wisconsin, and that was their only loss. Wisconsin has a record of 26-3, really good record, and their conference record is 17-3. And Wisconsin, they were the 2021 champions, which I did not see that. I don't think I saw that game, but I'm sure Wisconsin is back again this year to try and win their second championship. That's really all I have to say about Wisconsin. I don't really know a lot about their players, other than They have their spikes are super good. I think they've gotten a couple aces on their team. And I did see the Nebraska versus Wisconsin game. It was a really intense game, and there was a lot of like back and forth. There was like a couple blocks. There's actually multiple blocks. Lots of good kills, good serves, really good defense on both sides. Overall, I think those two teams are like they're probably like their biggest enemies. And then Pittsburgh, which is in Pennsylvania where I am, their record is 25-4, still a really good record. Their conference record is 16-2, and I do not think Pittsburgh has won a championship, so this year they're coming to get their first. I'm rooting for them, and I hope that they are able to get it. I do know, yeah, that Penn State is in Pennsylvania like Pittsburgh, and I am a Penn State fan. Penn State is currently number 5 in the Wisconsin bracket. I know a lot of Penn State players. They're all good. Penn State has a setter, senior setter, Mac Pedraza. Super good. She's a great setter. I think she was like a top pick or one of the top picks, I think, last year. That's really all I have to say about Penn State. I love Penn State so much. I hope to play there when I am older. And that's all I have to say. Moving on to Stanford. Stanford has a record of 26-3, and their conference record is 19-1. That's a pretty good record. And Stanford has won the NCAA championship 2016, 2018, and 2015. So that's 3 championships. I'm not sure like which others they've won. I think those may be the only 3. I haven't seen a lot from Stanford. I haven't seen any of their games. I definitely should check in on one of their games. I actually should watch maybe multiple games to see how their players are and how good they're doing this season, why they are number 1. Also, same with Pittsburgh, why they're number 1. I've seen Nebraska and Wisconsin, and I do know why they're number 1 on their brackets, because they have super good players this year, and pretty sure everyone on the team has a great mindset. Pittsburgh and Stanford, I have not seen them play yet. Again, Pittsburgh does not have any wins, but they're probably on their way, and they're trying to get their first win this season. Good luck to Pittsburgh, and of course Penn State. Good luck to Penn State. Good luck to all 4 teams in Penn State, of course. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about Stanford and Pittsburgh other than their record and how many championships they've won. That's all I have to say for today. I hope these 4 teams have a great rest of their season, and I have to check out Pittsburgh and Stanford to see how they're doing and why they are number 1. And I guess I'll be checking out Penn State's games too. I've already checked out multiple of their games, and like I said earlier in the video, they did versus Florida in the beginning of the season. Florida did win, but if Florida is 16 in one of the brackets, then I guess it shows like a downfall in their playing. There's been a couple of injuries. I hope Florida can recover from those. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys will watch the championship when it comes. If you are like Pittsburgh, Stanford, Nebraska, or Wisconsin fan, I guess good luck to those teams. Remember to like, subscribe, and check out my TikTok. And thank you for watching.